Hello there. Welcome to the Bonsai Stuff podcast yet again. Scott Martin from Bonsai Matsu, and I hope you've had a brilliant week in bonsai. As we enter the final month of winter, I've officially hit the halfway point of my main repotting season, and now it's time for me to start looking to tidy up the scraps of the deciduous repotting that needs to get done and start moving heavily into the conifer repotting. So repotting's still a focus, a heavy focus of what I'm doing at the moment. So I thought this podcast, I'd ask a question: to mound or not to mound when you repot? It's interesting. So I'll give you my thoughts on that. And also another one that popped up recently was someone talking to me about recently acquired bonsai that they've saved their hard-earned for and put into their collection, and the question came up: when does it actually become yours? When does that tree that you've got in your control suddenly become a you tree and not a such and such tree? Well, I'll give you my thoughts on that as well. So settle in and let's get into it. Repotting is one of those things that we don't get to do very frequently. It's not like pruning, or it's not like wiring and shaping, that if you make a mistake with it, or if it's not done correctly, yeah, sure, there's consequences to those things, but it's not the end of the world because you know it's going to be coming up again soon. You miscut something, or you accidentally break it as you're putting your hands into wire or whatever. Good chances are that buds will shoot out, and you'll be able to redesign slightly to keep the ball rolling with it. But when it comes to repotting, the time frame, the frequency, the distance between repots is vast. You know, sort of minimum 2 years. Maximum, well, however, how long's a piece of string? But you know what I mean. It's an average of 2, 3, 4 years thereabouts between repots. So you want to make sure that when you do it brilliantly. You know, you don't want to have anything done halfway. You don't want to, have things that you regret. You know, whether it be fronts of the trees or the angle of the tree or something like that, and something which I focus very heavily on when I do repot is the level of the tree in the pot. Because, you know, if as time goes on, once you've repotted a tree, that tree can often start pushing itself up in the pot, and when that happens, it gets very difficult to water the tree. It seems like the water just sort of runs off the side of it. So when it comes to actually the height of the tree in the pot, I'm very particular about it, and I work from an eye level. So when I do position the tree in the pot, you know, you'll take the tree out, clean the roots back, prepare the pot, get a little mound in there that you can put the tree onto and wiggle it into, so that mound goes up into the base of the roots. But then before I tie it in, I always squat back. Like I stand back from the tree a couple of meters. This distance is a great thing for perception on seeing things too close, and you'll not get it. So go back a couple of meters, and I squat down so the pot I'm looking at the pot rim from eye height, and I'm always judging the height of the base of the tree. So the nabari, the root spread of the tree, I'm judging how that looks from the lip of the pot. And I know that when I view my trees, I try and view them from sort of, you know, 2/3 of the way up the trunk, and then look down at the nabari and up at the apex. But when I'm repotting, that lip view, the pot lip view of the tree is really important to me. One, I think it's visually pleasing. I like having that root spread come out across the base of the soil. I think it's lovely. That horizontal growth of the nabari is really important. But secondly, it's functional for me too. That I know that for a period when I water that tree, it's going to be simple. It's going to be so easy to get water on that tree and not have the water run off. I won't have to, you know, do things like the dunking technique or just keep re-watering that tree over and over and over. I know that when I hit it, the water's going to sit on that soil level, and it's going to permeate and just go straight through that root ball, which is brilliant. It just makes life a lot easier. And knowing that, yeah, sure, outside at the moment, the feels like might be 0 degrees, but if you in the blink of an eye, it's going to be summer, and there's all that talk, hot, dry summers on the way. Yep, cool. So when I repot now, it's always in my mind, not about watering right now, but it's somewhere in 6 months' time when I know that it's going to be stinking hot, to know that I've got it so the water can get through that soil to the root system easily without me having to rework it over and over and over, is going to be so much more convenient. So then, I've got to ask a question, like, could you mount it? Like from a design point of view, could you mount it? You can, definitely. There's lots of trees out there that you'll look at that mount, but I wanted to use the podcast to say that I don't mount, and I find that there's really good reasons for it. So one is the watering. Watering is so much easier with that flat Nabari, flat root system, flat soil level. But also the Nabari, the way that that root system grows, you'll read anywhere or you'll hear anyone talk about repotting, and the way that you work the roots is to rake laterally. So you're raking from the tree out directly in a straight line. So because you want that root spread to evenly come out across the soil or the pot of the tree. You don't want crossing roots. So when we're raking those roots outwards and you've got a mound, I always think about like spider's legs. When a spider stands up and those legs sort of come down towards the ground. That's the image that I get when you talk about mounding, or I see a tree mounded in a bonsai pot. I see the roots growing sort of like at a downward angle, 30 degrees or something drastic like that. Whereas for me, what I really want to see is like when I walk through a forest, or you see a beautiful tree on the street or something like that. You see that Nabari, that root spread, the base of the tree spreading out nicely to the ground. It's very rare that I'll see a tree that's mounded up on a hill with the roots coming down like that. So for me, I have a greater connection or an affinity with the root base when it's coming out nice and flat across the surface of the pot, as opposed to spider's legs sort of standing up and running down. So you think watering's a major issue when it comes to runoff, but link that to the one of the most important things that we do with our trees, which is fertilizing, and the efficiency of the fertilizing for me, using the tea bag method, putting them on the surface and then watering those tea bags and having that run into the pot. If I've got water sort of gushing off the root ball because of the way I've mounded the tree up, then the fertilizer is going to have the same impact. It's going to run off. You're going to think it's doing its job, but is it doing it completely efficiently? No, it can't be. Not if the water's running off and I'm relying on the water to carry the fertilizer into the tree system, then and the water's not there, well then the fertilizer can't be working as well. So for me, I'm really fastidious about correcting trees when I see them when they've been mounded up like that. And often, your base or the depth of the pot. I've got my hands up beside the microphone now, sort of explaining what I mean. But if you've got your tree and it's sitting out of the pot by, let's say, 5 centimeters, because you've got it on a mound, it's pushing down, and the pot depth is 5 centimeters. Often what I'll find when I work those trees and I'm trying to reduce that level, it's very difficult because those thick roots that are exposed to the surface sort of punch down a very long way. So once a tree's been mounted up like that, the roots, the ability to reduce that root mass to repot again and get the mound out of the way is very difficult, because the thick roots become dominant, like a major branch on the tree, and the reduction of those roots it's just not possible, because it might be not sub-branching, because sub-root system on that root ball, because it's been exposed across the surface on this big mound that's coming down. So when you are repotting and you're getting ready to tie the tree into the pot, do that last step. Step back, squat down, look at the pot from the rim to the base, and if you're seeing a big mound of your soil mix up towards the tree above the lip of the pot, then have a good look at it. I'd think that it's something that you're going to need to adjust, because you're going to create a bit of a nightmare for yourself somewhere down the track in the next few months when it gets to be too hot. So making sure that you've got that right now before you move into that next phase is important from a horticultural point of view, but also from a design point of view. I think trees look much nicer. Well, for me, I mean, I know this is a personal part, but for me, I find having that nice base spread across the surface of the soil for your roots is far more pleasing target to work towards, and repotting is a time that you can work on that and get it right. But it's a long time till you get another chance to fix it. So you've been out to a nursery, you've been to a bonsai show, you've been to somewhere off marketplace, you've been to a friend's house, you've got your hard earned out, and you've acquired a tree. Now, this conversation happens all the time. It's far more frequent than what I suppose would like it to be. But when does that bonsai become yours? When can you turn around and go, this is a Scott Martin tree? Now, a couple of different scenarios. Let's say you buy from another, let's call it bonsai artist, okay? Does that tree remain theirs forever? Is it like a painting? Is it like a pot? You know, that's a such and such pot. Yeah, cool, but it's my pot. I paid for it. Does a bonsai have the same longevity for always being a such and such tree? And my 2 cents is that it doesn't. It doesn't always stay whoever's tree. Let's say you buy the tree from a nursery, and nursery XYZ, bonsai nursery. Are you always going to reference that tree as being an XYZ tree because the owner of the nursery is the one who started that tree, or may have started the tree, or may have acquired it from a wholesaler somewhere down the track? So is it then a wholesaler's tree that gets passed up the line? Does it have to be reference to the person who put the seed or took the cutting for them to is that where the heritage lies in the tree? And the heritage, please don't get me wrong, heritage in the trees is very important. Like it's lovely to have links with trees, but I know from my perspective, and that's the great part about this podcast, is that it is my perspective that when, let's say, I move a tree on to greener pastures, it goes to somewhere else, enters someone else's yard. How do I feel about that? Like, what am I happy with? You know, if I see a tree that I've worked on for however many years, no matter where I acquired it from, you know, I may have styled it, may have turned it into look like it did when I moved the tree on. When I see that at a bonsai show, do I turn around and say to people, hey, there's my tree, no matter how many years it is down the track? No, definitely do not. You know what I do? I actually feel really proud that someone else has taken that tree and made it their own. And when I say making it their own, this is another part of this whole conversation. You know, I had someone tell me once, very early in my bonsai life, I'd bought a tree, I spent a lot of money on it, and it was like, oh, that's a such and such tree. And they said, well, what are you going to do to make it yours? What are you going to change in the tree? And so I thought about that long and hard and thinking, oh, do I have to change something to make it mine? Do I have to remove branches, adjust the height, change the angle? What did I buy it for then? I bought it because I liked the way it looked at the time. Does it have to change to become my tree? And I thought about that long and hard, and that's a common misconception as far as I'm concerned, is that you have to change something to make it yours. It just seems futile. It seems like, well, why would you have purchased it in the first place if you were going to change it straight away to make it a you tree? I'll be completely blunt about this. My approach to all of this is that as soon as you put water on that tree, yeah, it's yours. Trees, they change. They're not static. It's not like buying a painting. And yeah, sure, look, someone may have had their thumbprint on that tree for a period of time, but I believe that by moving that tree on in any shape or fashion. It might be because you've had to, it's got too big, you've got too old. It might be that it's a deceased estate. It might be that you want to sell it and change your collection. It could be any reason, whatever it is. But as soon as you make that decision, as soon as that decision is made, then it stops being your tree. Yeah, sure, you've had a beautiful history with it. You've loved it all that time. You sell a car. Does that car heritage stay with you forever? You buy someone's house and move in, or an apartment or a flat or whatever. Does that always stay as the previous owners throughout history? It just doesn't make sense as to why there's this belief that when it comes to bonsai that they stay as the previous owners' property or heritage forever. It baffles me, because I think that, and I know that this happened with me, that I looked at trees that I'd purchased and think, if I don't change them, or if I don't do something, well, then they're not mine. Well, if they're not mine, what the hell am I doing here? Why am I working so hard on these trees and giving them all this love? And then the thought came into my head, who cares? It's my tree. I own it. It's my responsibility. And while I've got that tree, I'll give it 110% of me. I'll put pieces of me into that tree, not physically, but I will make sure that tree thrives and develops and advances and does whatever it possibly can through the planning process and making sure that I've got everything nutted down for it. That if and when that tree moves on to the next custodian, well, then they can have the tree at a peak of its condition and they can do whatever they want with it. I really don't mind. I used to think that when I sold trees that I'd have this longing inside me to say, wow, it's like, getting rid of one of your kids. How will I possibly, live without this tree in my collection? But knowing that the tree's gone to a good home and knowing that it's flourishing and seeing it when you go to a show or just hearing about it from somebody, it's lovely. And I don't feel like, I feel more like a proud uncle than a father for the tree. And I never think that it has to be linked to me. And I make that very clear to people. Like, this is not a me tree anymore. This is a you tree. This has got your name all over it. And you have to repot it. You have to fertilize it. You have to feed it. You have to prune it. You've got to wire it. You've got to shape it. You've got to do all that stuff. All those responsibilities are 100% on your shoulders to make sure that stuff gets done. And as soon as that happens, that becomes a you tree. There's talk about, you need to, once you put scissors on the tree, it's yours. I reckon as soon as you hand over your hard-earned cash, that tree's yours, because from that point on, it's completely up to you as to whether it lives or dies. Whether it thrives or it's neglected, or whether it continues to take steps forward or whether it starts to roll backwards at a million miles an hour. And if you are listening to this and thinking, oh no, heritage is really the primary thing, and it is. Some trees, like I hear it all the time. That's a such and such tree, and you go, oh, that's famous. Does it make it a good tree? Does it make it worth anything? No, it doesn't. It definitely doesn't, because it might have been whoever's tree 20 years ago, 50 years ago, whatever. Has it been looked after since then? No. So then does it, other than someone taking that seed and putting it in the dirt, really it's totally irrelevant, the link, as far as I'm concerned, because whoever's got that tree here and now, they're the ones that have got to give it the love. They're the ones that have got to get out there and do their morning coffee walk with it and give it a cuddle and say, you know what, I love you, and I will make sure that you get everything you need from this day forward. They're the ones that matter. So it's their tree. It's your tree. Anything that you've got in your collection right now that you are looking at, that you are spending time with, that's yours. I don't care if it's been there for 10 seconds or if it's been there for 350 years. It makes zero difference to me. And if you think about, in a morbid way, if you think about the lifespan of trees compared to the lifespan of us, every single bonsai, if it stands the test of time, will pass through multiple hands in its lifetime. It's just the way it is. That's the harsh reality of you planting a seed right now, is knowing that sooner or later that's going to become someone else's tree. And I would be so upset at myself if I pushed the version of that tree's mine forever, and knowing that someone would look at it and go, yeah, that's Scott's tree, so it's never my tree, it's his. I'm really just maintaining it until it goes to the next person, and the next person gets it. Oh, that's Scott's tree, and I'll just keep maintaining it, and it's got to stay like this forever. That's rubbish. That's absolute rubbish. I want everybody that has these trees in their collection to go, they're mine. I love them, and I am going to give them absolutely bloody everything that I've got in my system to make sure that they go on and become the best bonsai in the world. And they won't become that if they've got this link to being someone else's tree. So when someone says, whose tree is that? That's mine. Where'd you get it from? A sale day. Okay, well, or a nursery, or I picked it up off Marketplace. You don't have to pass up the line whose tree that originally was. And anyone that's selling trees, I'll give you my 2 cents worth. Don't push the fact that it's your tree. It's their tree. As soon as they take hold of it, that's it. Bang. You wipe your hands, you walk away, and you say, that's it. The other thing that's linked to this tree ownership thing, which I find really, really weird. Really weird. And again, this is my 2 cents worth. It's no one else's, and you're entitled to completely different opinions and all justified. But hey, it's the Bonsai Stuff podcast. So anyway, I find it really weird that there are limits on time of acquisition or owning trees before you can put them into a bonsai show. I've said it. I find that so weird. It's not funny. Now, hear me out before you say, no, it really should be X amount of time. How long is the right amount of time? Is it one full season? Is it 1 year? Is it 2 years? You got to prove that you can keep that tree alive for 2 years before it becomes yours. Who sets those rules? And think about it from the point of view. Let's say it's the world's best bonsai. Right? It's magnificent, and someone's literally just acquired it, and there's a bonsai show happening on the weekend. Why would you not want that tree put on display for the public to see and go, that's amazing? Little kid walks through there, little boy, little girl walk through there, and they see that tree and go, oh my God. And then they go on to become the creator of the world's best bonsai, or they come up with a new technique that helps the rest of the world, grow their bonsai better, or they develop a styling technique. Whatever it is, why would you hold that back from everyone else in the world and think that it hasn't been 2 years? I've got my stopwatch. All right. When you bring your trees in for going into a bonsai show, can you bring proof of ownership? And it's like your car rego. Can you prove to me how long you've had that tree for? Where did it come from? What's the heritage? You've got to bring in it's like breeding dogs. You've got to bring in the heritage of the dog to prove how good it is and where it's come from. I don't think that makes it slightest difference in the world. If it's good enough to be put on display, then at any point that tree should be put on display. There's no reason why people who will absolutely love seeing it and appreciate that tree should be punished or held back because not enough time's gone by before that tree is considered to be yours. So anyway, it is something that I have on my mind a lot because I get asked about it a lot, and I hear people talking about it a lot, and I get messages, this is a such and such tree, I'm thinking of doing this. It's like, why? Do you not like it the way it is? No, I do, but I think that it's like, no, it doesn't work like that. If you're happy with it and you've acquired it based on liking how it looks right now, then maintain it. That's your plan. Your plan is you want to keep working with the bud conveyor to keep this thing looking exactly as it is because you love it for now. Doesn't mean that won't change somewhere down the track, but there should never be that demand or that urge put on anybody to change something to make it theirs. It's, you order it, it's yours. You paid for it, it's yours. You get given it, it's yours. That's it. There's no strings attached. There's no linkage to anyone in the past. Sure, trees' heritage is really important. I love that side of it. But, like I said, some of the trees that are linked to, heritage and history within Australia, you look at them and they go, oh, that's a such and such tree. It's like, yeah, it's pretty average. That's, yeah, sure, they might have been theirs at some point, but, does that mean that every tree that's ever come out of a nursery is always going to be linked to a such and such tree? No matter, let's say it's a 2-year-old seedling. Does that always stay with that nursery? It definitely doesn't. It definitely doesn't. So they're yours, you own them, you look after them, you develop the plan, you give them the cuddle. That's it. That's simple, clear-cut argument. No more to talk about. It's a passionate topic. I love it. I love the thought of bonsai and how it drives me and how it gets into your blood, and it's like a worm in your brain that you don't stop thinking about. And I think that we all care about our trees so much is great. It's brilliant. It makes us who we are, makes us better people, I think. Anyway. All right, so we're getting towards wrapping up the podcast and we're getting towards wrapping up repotting. And I've had people tell me, yeah, repotting season, I'm done, I'm finished, I've done my trees, whatever it is. So it's just a reminder that with your tools, and I'm going to talk more about tools in the next episode of the podcast, but with your tools, you've got to make sure that you're looking after them. And I know for me, they get filthy. Like repotting is a dirty job, especially if I'm outside in the rain at someone's house and the tools get all filthy and muddy and wet. First thing I do, even though I get home and I'm absolutely buggered, I'm exhausted, first thing I do is give my tools a clean because they will rust. They will rust pretty quickly. They'll deteriorate, and next time I go to use them, I'll be quite mad at myself. So always make sure that when you do wrap up the repotting season, go through and give your tools the love. How you leave them is how you find them next time. So I always make sure that I've got a little bottle of machine oil there to give them a freshen up. I use some WD-40 or CRC or something like that just to give them a spray over. I make sure they're nice and sharp, make sure that they've been toweled down, so washed off so there's no water on them, there's no mud, there's nothing. They're crisp, they're clean, they're as good as they possibly can be. So next time I go to take those repotting tools out, I don't look at myself and go, you idiot, and then have to start looking at replacing things or spend a lot more time than what I did cleaning them after they were dirty, trying to bring them back to that freshened state. So repotting, we're almost done. Like I said, halfway for me, and then there's other repotting down the track for the natives and stuff like that. But anyway, for now, it's nice to actually check a box and say, yep, yeah, that one's done. Deciduous, you're finished. Next up, we're going to be getting into the spring world. Thank goodness, I've definitely noticed in Melbourne that the weather during the day is starting to get a bit nicer. Still bloody chilly, still lots of rain coming, still wind, but the days are certainly getting that bit of sunshine with them now, and you can see the lawn around the place is starting to pop its ugly head up and get ready for a more frequent cut. So it means that we're going to be in that very busy time of managing spring growth. So talk more about that later on. But anyway, for now, enjoy your trees. Make sure that you've done your repotting right. Think about that mounding side of it. If mounding is something that you do, I just think it's going to be something you're going to have to manage somewhere down the track. That's going to make your life and the tree's life a little bit more difficult. And I think from a design point of view, it's nicer to have them down lower in the pots. Anyway, enjoy your trees. It's a beautiful time. Always is when you spend it with your trees. Go and have that warm cuppa with them in the morning. Do that quick walk around. Make sure you've got no bloody weeds. Anyway, until next time, happy bonsai.